Hello everyone, Fluffy here. Welcome to Fibro Friday episode 3, I believe it is. And what we will be discussing today is photosensitivity and sensory overload in fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, because I told you before they go hand in hand. Try to dim the brightness on my laptop, but it is not cooperating and I don't understand why, so that's why y'all are getting the glare, and I apologize. I don't know why it's not, the glare isn't going down. So, I don't know. Up and down, and it's just not going down, and I have no idea why. So, there it is. And I need it to read some things. So, I had posted this on as a meme on my community tab, but I realized that some of y'all, I know for sure cell phones, and I think someone told me they have an iPad and you can't see the community tab on your iPad either. Anyway, I posted this a year ago. I thought I had done it sooner than that, but this is the most recent. Okay, sensory overload in fibromyalgia and CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome. Sensory overload can make you feel panicky, confused, and overwhelmed. It can result from a variety of things which can vary from one of us to another. If that's one thing that we know, even though we share similar symptoms, not all of us have all of them, and they can affect us from not so much, and they can affect us profoundly. Sensory overload, what happens? We know what happens, but we'll read it. Hypersensitivity is believed to be a core mechanism of fibromyalgia and ME and CFS. It means that our bodies react strongly to all kinds of input, noise, bright and flashing lights, crowds of people, smells, chaos, or multiple things competing for your attention. I don't have my readers on, which I suck, and they're right here, and this is small, so let me get my other 2 eyes on. So now I have 4 eyes. Oh, here, well look, it's writing. Okay, smells, chaos, or multiple things competing for your attention. Our brains appear to have a hard time processing a lot of input at once, possibly because of dysfunction of the neurotransmitter serotonin. Now, we discussed in depression and things like that, we have neurological issues, and some believe fibromyalgia is misfiring things in our brain, like we don't feel things like the average person does. It's a symptom that can have a significant effect on your daily life and discourage a lot of activities. Okay, everybody raise your hand if this is you. Right? Okay, that was just a meme, and I will have probably put it somewhere here so we could all read it together, especially because some of y'all don't have access. All right, now I was wrong, and I kept thinking, why am I, because I looked at photosynthesis, and that's different than photosensitivity. So when the kid said, Mom, are you talking about photosensitivity? I'm like, yeah. Okay, now this comes from it's called themighty.com, and just like the last time, if I read from an article, I will put the link to the article in the description box below. This comes from The Mighty. It is a blog. It's called themighty.com 2018. This post came from a page Wyatt, December 5th, 2018. 14 ways sensory issues affect people with fibromyalgia. So what this is, I'm going to read a small excerpt out of here, or the only little tab, and then what they do is 14 people just talk about how the sensory issues affect them, and so I'm sure that this a lot of y'all can relate to, because I pre-read it, so I knew what I was talking about, and some of these are us. Fibromyalgia is a condition often characterized by widespread multiskeletal pain, chronic fatigue, sleep disturbances, and brain fog. But in reality, there is a wide range of symptoms and side effects fibro warriors may experience, including sensory sensitivity. Isn't that right? People just think that we're in pain, and while that is the truth, there's just a whole lot else that comes along with it. A number of studies have found that fibromyalgia pain may be attributed to a hypersensitive nervous system that overreacts to stimuli. It makes sense, then, that many people with fibro experience sensory issues, causing certain types of light, sound, smell, and touch to aggravate symptoms, including pain. One study even found that the sensory amplification those fibromyalgia experience is directly correlated to levels of pain and fatigue. And I clicked on the study, and it is from PubMed. It's ncbi.lmn.gov. It's a lot of letters, but I will also post this publication in the comments. I mean, in the wow. You could tell I haven't had my coffee in a while. This is a big difference between this Friday and last Friday, huh? I tell you, VitaCup really helps my brain fog. It doesn't take it all away, but... And I'm out because it's expensive. Okay, this was back in this study, Psychosomatics, 2008, May and June. And it's a lot of... It was a test done, a study done, but it was done inside a room. But you can read that by yourself. I didn't really... But it says the conclusion of this study says sensory amplification may be an underlying pathophysiologic mechanism in these disorders that is relatively independent of depression and depressive symptoms. So basically, my interpretation of this conclusion is that it is not depression or depressive symptoms that are causing this sensitivity. It is other things. I mean, that's what I would gather. Now, we're lucky enough, and I don't have your name, but this person claims to be a counselor. I clicked on their YouTube channel, and they call themselves a shrink, so it's not me. And they were talking about how long-time depression turns into this other word, and you know, I'm all about being honest, and that I have not researched that word, but I'm hoping that this person will kind of put their 2 cents in on each one of my videos, because I'm all about trying to give out the right information, although things that I give out, 50% of this video is going to be personal opinion, but I will read the articles that I have found. Okay, let's get back to this other article. Okay, one study, and I just told you about that study, even found that the sensory amplification those with fibro experience is directly correlated to levels of pain and fatigue. We wanted to better understand the sensory sensitivities people with fibro experience, so we ask our mighty fibromyalgia community to share how sensory issues affect them. If any of the following experiences sound familiar, know you're not alone. Let us know in the comments below if fibro-related sensory issues affect you too. And so here's what our community shared with us. Some of these are long, but I'll try to ad-lib if I can. This one comes from Caitlin I. I have sensory processing disorder, and I found that if my sensory issues are triggered, my pain is triggered as well. It's like having the wind knocked out of me. I often wear a mask in large social settings to try to block out airborne particles, smells, and earplugs if I know I'll be somewhere loud. I often compare it to the scene of Bruce Almighty when he's at the restaurant and suddenly hears everyone praying at once in his head. How are y'all with crowds? For me, crowds bother me, but for me, I think it's more of my PTSD, because in my brain, all I can think of is, oh my God, they're going to knock me down, and then I'm going to hurt my eye again. So for me, it's not necessarily crowds. That gets me overwhelmed because, you know, of my PTSD. Flashing lights this is number 2. This is from Leon M. Flashing lights make me feel faint and sometimes zone out. Also, that if I'm in lights that are too bright for me for more than a minute or two. What? Also does that if I'm in lights that are too bright for more than a minute or two. Okay. Number 3, this is by Crystal B. Sensory overload can trigger a flare-up. It can be debilitating and exhausting. Sometimes I have to tune out the world for a few hours so I can get back to life. Now, there, Crystal B got the right thing going. Rest if you need to. Recuperate. It's not being lazy and it's not wasting time. It's healing. So good for you, Crystal B. So, anybody relate to these so far? Strobe lights make me feel lightheaded and off balance. I have a sensitive sense of smell. Even the slightest change of scent can make me sick to my stomach or hard to breathe. It gets worse during a flare. My body can't handle the cold. Living in Michigan doesn't help either. This is from Diana E.P. Doesn't help either. If my ears get cold, my speech will begin to slur and occasionally I'll faint. No one can tell me why it happens. I can't get out in the snow very much anymore. It makes it difficult to make snowman and snow angels with my children. For me, heat, the summertime makes me want to faint if I'm out in it too much these days, which I hate because I used to brag that I could be out in the sun and not even sweat. You know what I mean? I could take a lot of heat and I would stay out in it because sunshine helps my psoriasis and I still have it here and in my hair a lot. But the cold debilitates me. And like right now, it is nice and warm in this house. Like my top half is kind of feeling kind of hot and sweaty. My feet are freezing and I have socks on and it hurts. I don't faint or anything, but it can make me nauseated sometimes if I get cold enough. Like I can't even sleep in the bed. I have to get back in the tub. Number 5 by Michelle B. I don't tolerate loudness, bright lights, scents, or temperature fluctuations at all. I also experience burning skin sensations. Not mean, I have pain, but it's almost like icicles hitting your body when I get colds. So I don't know if it feels like burning skin. I mean, I get the burning skin, but I don't think that it has to do with heat or cold like that, environmental. I think it's burning and itching comes from the fibro pain. Number 6 from Vicky J. Bright lights give me a migraine. The smell of coffee gives me migraine. Just about any loud noise is overwhelming and gives me a panic attack, and my combination of lots of sensory input blows my mind and I totally freak. I'm also uber sensitive to temperature, which is fun when sharing an office with lots of cold people. Yeah, you can't make anybody happy. I mean, I've got 2 girls that are in this house that have PCOS and they're hot all the time. So I try to keep socks on and they compromise by turning off the air every now and again to let me warm up again. But, you know, I can always get warm. I can always go sit in a hot bathtub. They can only do so much to cool off, right? So, number 7. I don't think I can go to the store until Christmas is over. The bright red lights, overhead fluorescents, hordes of people who don't pay attention, sounds and smells are too much. I shut down. I literally can't see, balance, or think. I'm trying to ground myself and not have a panic attack. I'm trying to shrink deep inside myself and nobody bumps into me. It's excruciating. My husband has had to guide me and I have to hold on to him not to fall. I often think how I really should have brought my walker. I need to make it a habit to always bring it to the store. I have fibro and MS, multiple sclerosis. They work together on this. This is from Tabitha S. Yes, fluorescent lights are really not good. I mean, they're not really good for anyone. They have done studies about people that don't have any natural light windows and they're constantly under fluorescent lights. Their pale gets sallow. Their pale gets sallow. Is that what I just said? Wow. I really need some Vitacup. We need it. So their skin gets sallow looking. They are not absorbing a lot of vitamin C. So imagine those of us that have these kind of sensitivities and our neurons or whatever is in our brain aren't working correctly. That can cause a lot of anxiety. I notice that you know, at 9 o'clock in the morning when we would go to Aldi's, and there would only be like 10 people there, maybe a dozen. So that's not my PTSD. And if I stayed in there long enough, by the time I got done, I was anxious. I was sweating. You know, I had to go sit down. I would tell the kid, y'all check out. If it was my turn to pay, I'd say, here's the card. I'm going to go sit down. I'd try to get close to the door just so I could get out of that, you know, fluorescent lighting. It does happen. So if you're wondering why, you know, you walk in, you're having a good day, you're thinking, golly, I could go to the store today. You know, I'm feeling really good. So then you get in there and you start looking, and when you first get in there, you're like, oh, this is cool. You know, I'm feeling really good today. And as you're in there, you start to get a little anxious. Maybe you're a little nauseated and lightheaded. You know, the anxiety comes on a little more, and you're like, what the F? You know, what the hell? I was fine when I walked in here. You know, there's not a lot of crowded people, and that's usually what freaks me out. It's more than likely the fluorescent lighting that's getting you. Hannah says, I wear sunglasses even on cloudy days and earplugs when I'm going anywhere public. Sometimes even then I still get overwhelmed. Christy says, I experience a lot of negative effects like cold amplifying my pain. This being said, I have an awesome taste ability, so sometimes food is just amazingly tasty. Oh, well, there you go. There's a good side of it, right? Good job, Christy, for telling us. Also, super touch. I get all touchy, like if a friend has super lovely soft hair, I'm like, give me a feel, or fluffy animals and funky textures. I don't have that. How many of y'all have that? I've mauled people's coats and hats many times. This also works in reverse, though, and I touch a fabric or food, and I'll be like, ew. I'm not that way. I know the niece is that way, even though she doesn't have fibro. Megan simply says, can't handle loud noises or bright lights. The noise gets me the worst. I don't think I have noise sensitivity. Although sometimes if the TV's going and the kids are talking and the dogs are barking, I'm like, oh my God, can everybody just shut the hell up? And that's coming from a chatty Cathy because of getting looks from the kid over here going, really, pot calling the kettle black? I say it in my brain. I don't say it loud because I personally try not to. I mean, my condition already affects the two of them. So if I could hold back and not have it affect them, then that's what I'm going to do. Even though they would probably look at me and call me a bitch under their breath. They would accommodate me, but I try hard not to let some of what I consider the small stuff affect them. Okay, let's see. This is a really long one. Let's not do that. Let me see. Okay, she's basically saying what I'm saying. The washing machine is on, clothes is drying, TV on, kids are playing music. I can't process all of it at one time. So that's about me. I feel you, Samantha A. Number 12, when I am in a flare state, I'm hyper aware of all sounds. I crave silence, but I can hear every tap like a boom. This was from Amy M.B. Not like a boom, but I know that I'm a little bit more grouchy, gripey when I'm in a flare. I try hard not to let that affect, but sometimes I do, and I can hear myself, and the first thing I do is apologize to them or whoever I'm griping at. And they say, that's okay, and I tell them it is not okay, but I appreciate the understanding because they don't deserve to be the brunt of our frustration. So I try, I mean, I'll go, dang, that came out a little hot. And sometimes I tell them, you need to tell me. So they will tell me, you know, that came out a little hot. Woosah. And then I have to take a deep breath, you know, and sometimes in the evening I'll be like, I need to just go soak in the tub. Or I've told them I need to go take a nap or something because it's coming out of my mouth and it just doesn't feel like I can stop it. And so it's not an excuse because I try to go in the other room and stop it because it is not fair. But I get that sometimes it just, you know, you're hearing it come out and you're like, why are you saying that? It's like your brain is Do y'all get that? I'm like, golly, I can't stop. And so that's when I tried to shut up, or I'll just go in the room, take a bath, lay down, something. 13 says, loud noises affect me the most, and smells can sometimes. This was from Ashley C. And the last one, Tony D. I'm sensitive to lights, excessive noise, and smells. They are intensified and can cause a flare. I have a weird thing with my vision sometimes as well. Some things I can see in 3D. This was a really weird one. What I mean is, it's as if I can see into the object like layers, and it creeps me out. Most definitely, it heightens all senses, and not in a good way. I think one of the things that someone brought it up, it was the touch. This comes into play with people that are really touch sensitive, like for me. Someone would poke me, and I noticed, remember I had told y'all before I got diagnosed, I kind of felt like I'd had some of the symptoms before, and for most of my life, if people poked me, it would hurt, and they thought I was kidding. It was a way to get them to stop poking me. I was not being truthful. Same thing with the X. Only when I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia and started to investigate it and research it, I'm like, okay, there it is. Poking, touch sensitivity with, for me, it's wearing bras. I mean, some of y'all have it so bad that you can't even wear clothes. Like light pajamas kind of hurt you. And, you know, I used to, I don't want to say hate on people, but I used to criticize them in my head for wearing pajamas out to the store. But then I think, you know, this could happen to a fibro person. They can't stand any clothes but light pajamas. You know what I mean? I mean, any chance I can go without a bra, plus I have a bra, by the way, on. Well, it's a bra to dress, okay? Don't judge me. She hates I share. Anyway, for me, it's wearing a bra too tight, and someone had, another YouTuber had sent me a box of such wonderful goodies, and one of the things that they sent me were the compression socks, you know, to help with circulation. And so I had told the kid, this was a couple of years ago, and I told the kid, ooh, I'm going to wear them out, right? Because the only thing I had issues with was my bra. So she put them on, y'all. I promise you, 5 minutes after having them on, we didn't even leave the house, and I panicked. I said, take them off, take them off, take them off. Because I started getting lightheaded. I started getting super nauseous. They felt a little tight, but it wasn't actually in the sock area that were giving me the issues. Right up until the last 3 or 4, well, it'll be 4 years this year that the ex and I have parted ways. A couple of times she has like rubbed my back or said hello to me and touched my back, and it felt really weird. And when I read number 14 about seeing things in 3D, it reminded me of the touch sensitivity. It was almost like, you know, on funny movies where they try to reenact what a person's feeling when they're high, and you go like that, and then like hands follow it. What is that called? A little trail. You know, when they go like that, and then they see the hands still back here? That's how it felt for me. When somebody would rub me like that on my back, I still felt it where they started, well, even when they went away. And I still get that sometimes. So I keep telling myself I really would love a massage from someone that is knowledgeable about fibromyalgia, so they wouldn't use their fingers so much on me. But I just don't know if my back could handle that. Make sense? So I get a lot of that. Okay, Fluffy, you told us all about, you know, the issues. What do you do about all of this? Well, again, and I hope y'all have been working hard at coming to terms with your new normal, because this comes along with that. Remember, I said, okay, now that I have this, what can I do to accommodate it? I try to go when there aren't a lot of people. When I go in, even with the kid and stuff, we have stuff in mind. We go in, and when I can't take it anymore, I just walk away and go outside. That's what I do. If I go by myself, I think to myself, okay, what am I here for? Like the other day, and I didn't tell y'all, Aldi's this week, here had ribs for $1.99 a pound. And I had gone to the ER with the niece. She's fine. She's had issues with her hips, and it was just getting progressively worse, and that kind of triggered her voices. So we decided, let's go in, get it taken care of so we can get a hold of everything. Well, when we left, I had been told that there was a sale, so we went. And I told myself, okay, there was a lot of people there, and with the lights, I went in for a specific thing, and I made a beeline for it. I didn't just go shopping. I wanted the ribs. So on the way, I took a certain path, and as I passed by, I didn't slow down. I grabbed a loaf of bread. I went by the deli, but I was going straight for the ribs, because that's what you may have to do. If you go in there and you say, okay, I'm going to go straight for the milk, or I'm going to go straight for the coffee, you go straight for what you're going to the grocery store first. And if you get there to the item, you have it in your basket, and you're like, okay, I'm still feeling pretty good. Now, remember, you got to give yourself time to check out, because that's going to take the longest. So just keep an eye on the checkout stand, because that's what I do. And so we picked up a few more things, and then I told the niece. She was in the riding wheelchair, because I told her, stay in the car or do the wheelchair because you need to rest that hip. So she felt dumb, but I said, hey, it's either that or go sit in the car. And just like me, she didn't want to be left out. So I said, well, let's check out now. So I took a different route to the checkout, and without stopping, I forgot what I grabbed. I think I grabbed a thing of bologna. I can't remember. But I grabbed that, and out we went. Could I have, and so then I was okay. So that's maybe what you have to do. I also suggested do grocery pickups. Now Walmart does it. I think Aldi's I don't know if Aldi's does it themselves or if they use Instacart, but it's on the Aldi's door that they now do grocery delivery or grocery pickup. So you might try those avenues. But maybe to try to get yourself used to it, just go in a little at a time. Because there really is no other option. There's no pill, there's no pill that you can take or anything like that. I have gotten, and I did a video on it before, chlorella ramen. Now, chlorella is like a super duper, supersonic superfood. But it's in ramen. So ramen is like one of the worst things for you. But I have found that it is the tastiest thing that you can eat chlorella with. Chlorella has a lot of, because I messed up, I got the wrong article, but photosynthesis chlorella is a lot like some of the other photosynthetic foods. Is that a correct word? It sounded real good. The kid says no, but I don't know how she knows. But anyway, the article, it was all in scientific jargon, so it had words this long, and basically what I thought it was saying, that it's even more of a superfood because there's very little light that comes into the ocean, but it is able to absorb so much more of the photosynthesis than food that is out of the water. And it said any vegetable or plant life that has a green hue to it, but then it said something about red, and chlorella is green, blue-green even. So that's supposed to be a really good, what is it, algae? Y'all, I'm eating algae. But it's supposed to be good for you. What does chlorella do?
Oh, it's a superfood. It's antioxidant. It's high in vitamins and minerals.
Oh, it's antioxidant. It's high in vitamins and minerals. Does it help people that are not out, who have photosensitivity, because it absorbs light? She says she doesn't think so, but like everything else, I'll try to research it. And if I find a good article on it that supports my theory, like, you all know, I'm not in the medical field. It's just something that I read about it, the photosynthesis, and it's supposed to be this super food. But then it started talking about terraforming Mars and all of that. So I don't know. I don't know if that's incredible. And I didn't keep the website, so y'all will have to do that for yourself. Okay, 30-minute video on photosensitivity. Once again, if y'all have any questions and I can't answer them by my knowledge of research, then I will try to find an article that explains it better. Thank you all for sharing your stories with me in the comment section. Y'all feel free to comment on other people's comments in show of support, or if you have that issue as well. I think that y'all interacting like that would be a real good idea, because it's just not me that has to comment on them. I don't have to comment. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not the only one that gets to, has to, should. Y'all can comment on each other's, but some of you, these stories that I'm reading, it was hard for you to tell me or to tell anyone, and I really appreciate you sharing, because I'm sure that it helps people. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode 3. Let me know if you don't agree. That's okay. Just be kind. Having said that, God bless y'all. Positive vibes out to each and every one of you. Remember to always be kind and be your own advocate. Persevere. Perseverance is the channel word for 2020. I love y'all, and I will talk to y'all real soon, okay? Bye.